The most successful advertising campaign in human history wasn't for a phone, a car, or a soft drink. It was for a rock. A single company convinced the entire world that a shiny piece of compressed carbon is rare, priceless, and the only acceptable way to prove you love someone, and then convince you that you should spend 2 or 3 months of your salary to do it. Almost none of that is true. Diamonds are not especially rare. They are not a good investment. And the rules you think are ancient tradition were written on purpose by people selling diamonds. Let's start with the rarity, because it's the foundation of the whole illusion. We treat diamonds as precious because they're scarce. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Diamonds are not rare. There are enormous quantities of them in the ground, and even more sitting in vaults right now. For most of the last century, the global diamond supply was controlled by essentially one company, which deliberately held back the flood. They didn't sell every diamond they could dig up. That would crash the price. Instead, they released a careful trickle, creating the appearance of scarcity for something that is geologically fairly common. The rarity you're paying for was manufactured in a boardroom, not by nature. Now for the part that's pure genius. Controlling supply only sets the price. You still need people to want the thing badly forever. So in the late 1930s, this company hired an advertising agency with a brief that was almost philosophical: make diamonds emotionally essential. The agency's masterstroke was tying the diamond to the one purchase a person makes that they absolutely cannot afford to get wrong and will never comparison shop on: a marriage proposal. And then came a line, 4 words that printed money for decades: a diamond is forever. It did 2 things at once. It linked the stone to eternal love, and it quietly told you to never, ever resell it. Because a diamond is forever. You keep it. You don't sell it. Think about how clever that second part is. The biggest threat to a diamond company is a used diamond market. If millions of people resold their diamonds, prices would collapse because the supply would balloon and everyone would discover what their rock is actually worth on resale, which is a fraction of what they paid. So the marketing didn't just create demand. It built a one-way door. Buy the diamond, treasure it forever, pass it down, anything but sell it. They turned the resale market off using nothing but sentiment. Forever wasn't poetry. It was supply control disguised as romance. And the how much should you spend rule? Also invented. The notion that you should spend 1 month's salary, then later 2, then 3, on an engagement ring was not handed down by tradition. It was a marketing target, literally promoted by the diamond industry to anchor how much you'd pay. There is no ancient custom here. A couple of generations ago, diamond engagement rings weren't even the default. The entire ritual you think of as timeless, the diamond, the proposal, the months of salary, is younger than your grandparents, and it was built deliberately to sell more stones at higher prices. You inherited a marketing campaign and mistook it for a tradition. Here's where it gets very real for your wallet. Try selling a diamond you bought at retail. You will be shocked. You'll typically be offered a small fraction of what you paid, sometimes a quarter, sometimes less. That gap between the retail price and what anyone will actually pay you for it is the clearest proof that the retail price was never about the stone's inherent worth. With a real investment, a stock, gold, property, there's a market of buyers and a roughly knowable resale value. With a diamond, you're buying at the top of a one-way escalator. The value exists only at the moment of purchase, propped up by controlled supply and a century of advertising. The day you try to cash out, the illusion shows its seams. Now let me be fair, because the old monopoly's grip has slipped. That single company no longer controls the supply the way it once did. Other producers and countries broke the lock. And then came a real disruptor: lab-grown diamonds. These are not fakes. They're physically, chemically, optically identical to mined diamonds. The same crystal, grown in weeks instead of billions of years for a fraction of the price. And their arrival is doing something fascinating. It's exposing the whole game. If a lab diamond is indistinguishable from a mined one, but costs 1/10 as much, then what exactly were you paying the premium for? The answer, increasingly obvious, is the story. The mined diamond industry is now fighting to convince you that natural rarity is worth the markup, which is just the original illusion, defending itself one more time. So why does the spell still mostly hold? Because the diamond was never really about geology or investment. It's about meaning. We use it to signal commitment, sacrifice, and seriousness. And a thing that's expensive and hard to part with signals those things well precisely because it costs you. In a strange way, the irrationality is the point. Spending a lot on something you'll never sell is exactly how you prove the feeling is real. The company didn't just sell rocks. It sold a way to prove your love that conveniently required buying their product. That's not a flaw in the plan. That was the plan. So here's the lesson, and it's bigger than jewelry. Value isn't a fact about an object. It's a story we agree to believe, and whoever controls the story controls the price. Diamonds are the purest example. A common stone, made scarce by one company, made meaningful by one slogan, and made permanent by convincing you never to test its real worth on the open market. None of that makes a diamond bad, or your ring less meaningful. But it should change how you see every priceless thing with a price tag. Ask who wrote the story. Ask who profits from you believing it. And ask what it's really worth the day you try to sell it. If you want a next breakdown, subscribe. One new company every few days. Next time, another story you've been sold so well you never thought to question it.